Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, depending on when you're reading this or watching this, I should say. Um, so, Today I just want to go over some small differences that you can make to start looking at your life a little differently. Positive changes or just different things that you can do. I shouldn't say positive changes; they're just changes, with the hope that you start looking at your life a little differently. With the hope that you start looking at your life through a much more positive lens. So if we're having some of those days when it's just like, ugh, my life sucks and this is so difficult, and all of that negativity that kind of flows through us and it can kind of take over. This is just something that I wanted to go over with everybody. And again, I want to give credit where it's due to Mark and Angel Hack Life, which is one of my favorite resources. I utilize them oftentimes when it just comes up when I'm discussing a topic, in therapy, and I don't know how it happens, but for some reason, either during that week or the next week, I just happen to come across something that they've written. Maybe in the past, I have it saved, or a recent blog post from them that just resonates with me and resonates with what I've been doing with some of my clients. And so this is 23 things people who love their lives are doing differently, probably speaking much more clearly than I am. Um, and so I'm just going to jump right into it because there's a bunch of them, and I hope that there's maybe one or two that resonate with you guys, and maybe just again making some of these slight changes, you'll start to see, yourself looking at your life in a different light, and that's all I'm hoping. Okay, so letting go of self-defeating thoughts. Um, you know, letting go of fear, expectation, anger, regret, frustration. Kind of being able to acknowledge that you don't need any of those thoughts, you don't need any of those feelings, and letting go of the need for approval as well. So I know that sometimes I have talked about, that yes, we have to feel our feelings, whether they're, the quote unquote good feelings or the bad feelings, but um, being able to look at our thoughts and whether or not they're actually bringing us down, and being able to let those go. So, just literally breath by breath, being able to inhale, they say inhale the good and exhale the bad. And as silly as that may sound, it's true, so, being able to inhale, happiness and peace, and exhale the frustration and the anger and just kind of let that go. And again, breath by breath, just taking it step by step. Um, they prove themselves to themselves, not to others. This is also extremely important. If you find yourself constantly trying to prove your worth to someone else, you've already forgotten your own value. And you don't want to do this to yourself. And this is so important. That we make decisions and choices, and we should be making them based on what we want, our own happiness and our own goal setting, and not because someone else has told us that this is what they think we should do. And also just the opposite of that. So many times people will say, well, I do things because someone told me I couldn't do it. But that can be a great, motivator, and I get that. But this person telling you you can't do something shouldn't be the main reason why you do something. Do it because it's what you want. You never want to look back and think that you made choices and decisions because of somebody else, because someone else told you something, because someone else had some kind of, opinion about you and what you are capable of. You do it because you have something that you want to do. And it's okay to say, I want to prove to myself that that's important. You should want to prove things to yourself. You should want to set goals and reach higher and higher for things instead of settling, if that's what you want to do. Obviously, I'm not pushing people to have to set huge goals for themselves, but and again, it should be because it's what you want to do. Again, not because someone else is telling you this is even a great idea, or again, the other side, because they don't think that you can do it. I know people, like I said, always say that. Well, I got the motivation because this person didn't believe in me and they told me that. That's really such negative motivation, and you don't need that negativity in your life to do something. Because what if you change your mind? What if you decide not to pursue that goal? For a variety of reasons. You have every right to feel that way and to make that change. So now you're going to stick with it because you want to prove this person wrong that said you couldn't do it. It has nothing to do with them. You can do whatever you want to do. This person's opinion about it is completely irrelevant. It's what you want. Um, they find the positive in every situation. The most underrated trait of all successful people is positivity. Your attitude really determines how well you live your life. And I struggle with this all the time. I used to, and I think a lot less now, but I used to very often make sort of these general statements about my life and how things were going instead of breaking it down and being able to recognize, which I finally did, that there were certain things in my life that were causing me to feel distress, and certain things in my life that were making me feel frustrated and sad and angry. Um, and I was allowing them to make me feel those things. And until I finally was able to recognize the feeling, recognize that it was over a specific thing, and that only I had control over making changes in my life to get rid of that thing and have it not continue to have control over me and those horrible feelings. But I would make these general statements, and they were always just so negative. Oh my God, my life is terrible. And it's like, no, it's not. I have an amazing life. I have a great life. How could I say that? So, it's also, I was being very ungrateful, and so positivity also goes with gratitude and reminding yourself that, as much as you might get a lot of, difficult things thrown your way, I bet you could still come up with at least 3 to 5 things every single day that you could be grateful for. And you can remind yourself that you're grateful for it. But it really is all in your attitude. I mean, you can have someone have the best life. We know this. Look at people who have the amazing, what we consider these amazing lives. And what, the media wants to show us are these amazing lives. And yet, look at, unfortunately, and I'm not judging any of this, I'm just making a statement that yet we watch, families breaking apart, and we watch, custody battles and people cheating on each other, and again, like, who's going to get this house and that house and these kids, and just awful nasty things in the press. I get that that's sort of not quote unquote real life, but the truth is you can see that money and fame and celebrity and all of these things that you would think once you get them should make you happy. And as we can all see, that's not how it works. It's all in your attitude. It's how you live your life. It's how you again, I'm not saying that if you're positive every day, bad things won't happen. That's not that there's no correlation to that, but it's how you handle it and it's how you deal with it. And it's so important, especially now when we're talking about how we're dealing with things in front of our children, that our attitude really, really dictates how they handle things. When a lot of parents talk about, their children and their anxiety. And again, this is not a blame game. Again, I know that parents will say, I don't know why my child has anxiety. And I'm not saying that there is anything going on at home and it's anybody's fault. But my point is just sometimes we don't realize that we're exuding certain feelings, and that we're not managing them, in the most healthy way, and that certain things that we say, or the way that we say them, or the way that we've been coming across for years, that kind of goes, they see that, they hear that, they feel it. So if they feel that you have all of this anxiety, or they feel like you have this tension in the house, it's there. And I know that was kind of a redundant thing to say. My point is that, you know, when we question that, I don't know where this came from. I don't know what's going on. Um, oftentimes there might actually be a reason. And it could just be like, let's just hold up a mirror and take a look. Like, what am I doing? How am I acting at home? Do I try to, show a positive attitude? Do I show that even when, things are difficult and times are tough, that I at least show my children that, yes, it's difficult, but, and there's always a but. No matter what happens, there is always a but. There is always something that you can show your children that they should be grateful for, that you're grateful for, even if it's just them. Just making that point that they should be able to do that as well is very important. Appreciating what you have. So again, going right to that. Um, every now and then it's just good to pause and look around, and just be happy well, gosh, be happy with what you already have. Yes, we have goals, and we're trying to get certain things in our lives, and pursue certain things, but, remembering that what we have here and now, again, we can't pretend that those things don't exist. We can be happy and we can be grateful for them. And again, reminding our kids of those things, and going back to how we show them that, kids put a lot of pressure on themselves when it comes to school, and, wanting to get into good colleges and universities and all of these things that they think that they have to do in order to get there. And I'm not saying that that's not important. Different things are important to different families, to different kids. I get that. But we also don't, want to forget that there are great and beautiful and important things happening in the here and now as well, that we don't want to lose sight of all of that as we're pursuing something else. And that happens often. It happens with people in their jobs. They're pursuing maybe a different position. Maybe they're pursuing, a higher pay rate, whatever it is that you're pursuing. In the midst of pursuing those things, life is actually still happening in the here and now. And you don't want to miss those things. You don't want to miss, family events, and you don't want to miss, like I said, with kids, like, there's important things that right now that are going on with them, socialization wise and whatnot. Let's not pretend like, there's only one end game, and that's getting someone into a university, or for some, one end game, it's making sure that it's this college. So sorry, it's this job. Those things may come. And I'm not saying you shouldn't have goals and things to work toward, because absolutely you should. But again, life is still going on as you're pursuing those things. And it's okay to take a step back sometimes and recognize it and enjoy it and be grateful for it. I think that if anything, this whole situation has taught so many of us, at least I hope it has, that life is precious and you never know when something's going to suddenly just creep up, as this whole situation has with the coronavirus. And, obviously there's many people that have passed away, unfortunately. That people obviously were not expecting that to happen. Other people have gotten sick. So many things have happened. And because we had to suddenly just not see each other and be around each other, you didn't realize back in, March, that this could be the last time that I saw somebody. This is the last time that I'm going to be in this person's presence. We didn't know that. So if this taught us anything, I hope it taught us that life is short and our time is precious with each other. And again, I don't look at life. Anyone that knows me personally, anyone that has worked with me in treatment knows I'm very honest, very blunt. I don't walk around with rose-colored glasses. It's not that, but one of the huge things for me that has changed is being able to take a step back, to being grateful every day for what I have. I definitely spent far too long being angry and frustrated and not recognizing the things I had in my life that were important and that I was grateful for, because I had, again, many beautiful, amazing things and people in my life. And I know that other people do too. And it just takes a minute when you're really feeling down on yourself, you're really feeling down on your situation, to stop for a second and just say that. And I feel like I say this almost in every video, but it's so true. And it does make a difference. Imagine getting up every day with an attitude about all of the wonderful things that you're grateful for. What is your day going to look like? It's going to hopefully just at least start off on the right foot. And if you do it before you go to bed, imagine what your night, what your evening looks like. You're going to bed with these at least 3 to 5 positive things in your head. Like, we can't make it any better than that, except to do some guided sleep meditation, but that's a whole other story. Let's see. Nurturing your own inner peace. In the midst of movement, speaking of all of this, and chaos, keep stillness inside of you. Being able to take a few deep breaths. If you are not someone who does well with their own meditation, that's fine. Not many people, not everybody has time to practice meditation on their own. A lot of people do struggle with it a little bit, to kind of like to let everything out of their mind and just clear their mind and just breathe and focus. That's okay. That's why there's guided meditation. It exists for a reason. There is nothing to be ashamed of. It's just listening to someone else do a guided meditation with you. It does the same thing. And it allows you to focus on somebody else's breathing, initially someone else's breathing, somebody else's voice. Just let them just guide you through the relaxation. Let them guide you through getting all of the stuff out of your head, and then you focus on your own breathing. And doing that, honestly, if you could, for 10 minutes at least a day, I would love it if you could do it for more. But just being able to spend some time with yourself, nice and quiet, getting all of the stuff out of your head is extremely important. Taking a walk, if that's the time that you have. A lot of people will say running is their form of meditation, their form of therapy, which is fine. Again, or walking, or any other form of exercise, anything that helps you sort of just, again, I feel like with exercise too, it gets you, sort of you become one sort of with your body, with your breathing, and anything else that has to do, you can kind of feel things going on with your body, positive and negative. And you don't always get to do that, with your day to day when you're running around having conversations with people. But when you're exercising or meditating, you kind of get to become one with that and kind of see what's going on with yourself inside and out. Finding courage to be real. It takes courage to grow up, to grow wiser, and turn out to be who you really are. To find the courage to own your story and to speak your truth, which is extremely important. Again, I think this goes back to worrying about, what other people have to say, and making your choices and decisions based on someone else's opinions and thoughts. And again, you're not here for that. It's knowing what your truth is. And you don't have to speak it to anybody if you don't want to. But, even through meditation, it's a way to do it, or journaling, just sometimes getting things off of your chest, or in therapy, my favorite place. Just being real. There are some people in this world that, like, literally certain things in their lives have never passed their lips. Things that have happened in their lives. It doesn't have to be this ultra traumatic thing. That's not what I mean. But there are things in their lives that they have never spoken to another human being. And I'm not saying you have to tell everybody every little thing about you, but it can be extremely freeing to know that there's nothing that you have bottled up still. There's nothing inside that you feel like you have to continue to keep guarded, that you've put someplace in your head because you're still, very fearful of another human being, knowing that information. And usually there's a reason, obviously, for that. And so even if, again, it is someone that you don't know, meaning a therapist, that's a completely objective person, just consider just having that, even if it's just a brief, it's just brief therapy, just having someone that you can just kind of let it all out, get a little bit of support if necessary. If healing needs to happen, let it happen. But again, it's being able to just be yourself, and what goes along with that is setting boundaries. People that love their lives and are comfortable in their lives are able to not only speak their truth, but also able to set boundaries in their lives. I think I've talked about this before too, but if I haven't, this is very important. I think I've said before, that no is a full sentence, and boundaries are very important. They're not selfish, they're selfless. The more you're taking care of yourself, the more you can give to others. I don't mean to sound cliche, but honestly, it is so true. So setting boundaries, and being able to know when you need some extra support, and knowing that it's okay to reach out and who to reach out to, and allowing people in your life to know who can reach out to you when they need to, and that's important. And not allowing, people think that the best way to be a friend or even a family member is to keep the door open to everybody and allow everyone to kind of walk in whenever they want to, but that's not healthy. And again, as I always say, you can't pour from an empty cup. Again, I know, another cliche, but that's the truth. You can't. So you set those boundaries, and people know that, yes, I'm here for you, and hopefully you'll be here for me, but you also have to be able to say to people, not today. Emergencies are different, but that's not what we're talking about. Setting a good example, be the change that you want to see. You give what you expect, and you reflect what you desire. You become what you respect. People say, I respect this, I respect these things. If you respect certain things of certain people, there's nothing stopping you from doing and being that as well. It's beautiful to look at somebody and say, I respect this person for the way that they raise their family, or the way their work ethic, or the choice to not have a family, and being able to make certain other decisions in their lives, and you being able to say, I respect that. Okay, well, there's nothing saying, or no one saying you can't also kind of, mirror that as well. You mirror what you admire, and imagine how that would feel. So all the things that you respect maybe in other people around you, and you kind of sort of take in those characteristics. So again, it's all things you like, and now you're doing the same thing, and so now you're starting to really look at yourself with that mirror, and obviously, hopefully, you're looking at yourself and you're really liking yourself. So it's internal, and it's turned to self-love, and it's not just looking outwardly to other people, and what can happen sometimes with respect, again, it's a good thing, but it also can turn to yearning, and wanting to be, with this person and wanting to have what this person has, but, in certain ways. And, but if you can then sort of, like I said, like mirror those things, you become that as well. I don't mean single white female stuff. I'm just saying. You making your important relationships a daily priority. Um, by participating more in your relationships, more in your relationships, you breathe life into them. By paying close attention. And so people and things that are very important to you, show them and really listen and pay attention to things that are going on. And yes, sometimes it's difficult to do that if somebody's going through a difficult situation. I get that. And sometimes we don't want to be uncomfortable and we don't want to be having those same feelings, those uncomfortable feelings. But we know that we can't just be with people through the good times, right? We can't just be with people for the celebrations and the joy, but we have to also be with them, through the bad times. And, and just, again, just paying attention and just listening, not always wanting to jump when somebody's saying something. Like in the back of your head, you're kind of waiting for them to shut up so that you can speak, because ultimately you just kind of want to say what you want to say. The truth is give yourself permission to forget. Like if you're having a conversation with someone that you truly cherish, you cherish that friendship, it's okay if you forget what you're going to say, because you're listening. You're actively listening to them. You're putting in the time to listen to what they have to say. And you'd be surprised if you started to really do that, the changes in your relationships. And, I know there's people that have some really close friends and then they have a lot of acquaintances. So I'm not saying do it with every acquaintance, but if you have some really close people in your life, I just recommend just start doing some active listening. Like, again, and what that means is that you're not worried about your response, your reaction. You're not trying to form a reaction. It's not an interview. The person is literally having a conversation with you. They're talking to you. Now, if they ask you a question, that's one thing. But we miss a lot when we're sitting there waiting for our turn. And it's not about that. If you really care about somebody, you truly are interested and engaging with with what they're saying. Maybe not right now, but we are. All right. Let me just throw in a few more that are important, and then we'll wrap up. Because you can also check these out online. So they leave the past behind. So don't let the past steal your present. Your past has not defined, deterred, or defeated you. It has only strengthened who you are today. And every time that you're tempted to react in the same old way that you have before, you want to ask yourself if you want to continue to be a prisoner of your past or a pioneer of your future. And you do the work. The near-term cost of discipline is always less than the long-term cost of a lack of discipline. At some point, you have to stop wishing for it and start working for it. I think we all know that with anything in our lives, that we can't just keep saying, I want this, I want this, I want this, and don't not do anything about it. At some point, you have to put one foot in front of the other, and baby steps are still steps forward. They get uncomfortable. You can't learn, grow, and succeed until you get comfortable with being uncomfortable. The best wins in life often come only after you dare to lose. You can't win anything unless you're willing to risk things. And that's very important. They take action in spite of their fears. They use change as an opportunity to grow. They always give themselves another chance. Sometimes the bad things that happen put you on a direct path to the best possible things that could ever happen to you. But you need to give yourself another chance to get there. Oftentimes people, especially in therapy, they're stuck and have been stuck for a long time. And, some of it is because of self-worth, not feeling like you're worth doing something new, not worth, trying something else to feel, to start with new experiences, to become vulnerable again. And I absolutely get that. But, things do happen as they say, one door closes, another door opens. But I do think that that's true. yes, bad things happen, and we all go through them. Nobody gets through this life unscathed, and I think we all know that. But then we need to allow ourselves another chance forward to decide what it is that we want to do. And again, remember that we are worth giving ourselves that next chance. And I think I got them all. Oh, they break up their routines to seek new insight. You'll often see what is wrong when you're doing it right, but you will rarely see what is right when you're comfortably in the routine of doing it wrong. If you want a new tomorrow, then make new choices today. Mix it up. Sometimes a break from your routine is the very thing you need. They focus on effectiveness, not busyness. The great paradox of our time is that many of us are busy and bored at the same time. Busyness and effectiveness are two different things. And I think that is it. They help themselves by helping others. They use self-reflection as a tool to keep things in perspective. Never forget where you've been, lose sight of where you're going, or take for granted the people who travel the journey with you. I think that's self-explanatory. Strong, this is one of my favorite things. Strong people stand up for themselves, and stronger people stand up for others too. So, again, just some tips, just some thoughts, just some ideas, just maybe a little, you know, just some small changes, things to just consider that, when we've been having some difficult times, that sometimes just perspective and doing, a small thing here or there on a daily basis to, start giving us a different perspective, a different attitude on our day to day. And it does help. And that's all. Thanks.